Headline, March 11th, 2006. The rumors are true. The 4 members of Pillow Trick, Chris Gill, Chad Chesney, Matt Lyons, and Aaron Haynes, are reuniting after 4 long years to record a follow-up to their enormously popular first album, self-titled. The news came down late last month. We're really excited about getting back together to write and record. I'm sure we'll be able to capture the magic again, says Chad. In addition to recording a new album, a remastered bonus edition of the first album is soon to be released. It's completely remastered and even re-recorded in parts. There will be bonus tracks including unreleased songs as well as rare demos. It's a more powerful version of the first album without taking away from the original rawness of the tracks, says Chris. The remastered bonus edition is scheduled for release on March 17th. All of the hype and excitement can be summed up in one quote from Matt. I hope Chad gets AIDS and is hacked up with an axe by an Asian prostitute. Stay tuned. Update, March 18th, 2006. Explosive diarrhea sidelines Matt for a week. There were many rumors flying around that Pillow Trick was getting together for their first studio session today. We can't confirm if this was true or not, but we do know that Matt was unable to get off the toilet for almost 17 hours. It's a very stinky situation, says his wife Angie. I hope this isn't the onset of AIDS, said Chad early in the morning at an undisclosed Denny's. Stay tuned. Update, March 26, 2006. The power has been unleashed. Chris, Matt, and Chad were seen entering Smile and Jack Records this morning. They appeared to be quite excited and were sporadically humping each other's legs as they loaded in some gear. They didn't emerge again for nearly 6 hours. Very little information is leaking out at this point. An inside source says they have written 3 new songs and have 3 more in the works. When cornered leaving the studio, Chad said, I think we all may have AIDS now. Matt followed up that comment with, I haven't had this much fun since Chad took my balls in his mouth last month. Stay tuned. Update, April 21st, 2006. Chaos rains down on the Pillow Trick parade. All hell has broken loose on the Pillow Trick boys ever since the first songs were written. According to sources, each member has had to fight off bouts of depression, drug addiction, unemployment, and of course, AIDS. Another rumor going around is that drummer Aaron Haynes may have to be replaced. An inside source tells us that Aaron fell into a wormhole and is stuck in an alternate universe. The story is getting very interesting. Stay tuned. Update, April 29th, 2006. Aaron makes his first appearance. A very stone-faced Aaron Haynes was seen entering Smile and Jack Records yesterday. He appeared to be loading in his infamous electronic drum kit. We aren't sure exactly how long the session lasted, but it went well into the night. We managed to get our first official statement from Chris and Matt. When asked how the album was coming along, Chris said, we have a foundation recorded for 4 songs. We hope to put the finishing touches on them soon. When we asked Matt when it would be possible to hear some of the new material, he screamed, when the damn album is finished, if you ever ask me that question again, I will have you and your whole family tied up and ass-raped. After that, it sounded like he shot someone nearby and slammed the phone down. All in all, it appears that AIDS is becoming a major factor as the production of this album moves forward. Stay tuned. Update, May 13th, 2006. Another threesome. The trio of Chris, Matt, and Chad arrived at Smile and Jack Records early this morning. When asked for a comment, Chris said, hey, we're working on stuff, leave us alone right now. We asked Chad for a comment, and all he said was, AIDS brought out the worst in us at first, but ultimately it brought out the best and transformed the nation. The story of a disease that left an indelible mark on Pillow Trick, our culture, and our souls. Then he lay down for a brief siesta. About 6 hours later, the 3 emerged from the studio looking a bit flustered. We approached Matt for a comment, and he immediately punched Chad in the face several times, knocking him out, and then proceeded to attack our reporter. He kept screaming, I love lesbians. My ass juice loves your AIDS. I love lesbians. Taste my ass juice. We don't really know what to think about all of this. Better precautions will be taken next time. Stay tuned. Update, May 21st, 2006. Matt and Chad working in secret. We got a tip this afternoon that Matt and Chad were having a very heated songwriting session away from Smile and Jack Records. One of our reporters found them in a very isolated location in North Texas. Apparently they didn't want to be discovered because they were in disguise. Before we could get any comments, Matt came running out screaming, we're writing a song, damn you! Ass juice! Ass juice! Chad was close behind screaming, where are my shoes? Matt then proceeded to beat our reporter beyond recognition. This was the last shot that was taken before our reporter blacked out and was taken to the hospital by care flight. It looks very similar to the shot from the last sessions. We are very concerned for our safety at this point. We don't know how much longer we can keep bringing you these reports. Stay tuned. Update, May 24th, 2006. Chad blows off the project. Rumor has it that Chad has abandoned Pillow Trick to pursue a career in stand-up comedy. Sources are trying to confirm this. The only information we have at this point is a quote from Aaron. Apparently Funny Guy thinks he's better off doing something else. The rest of us are working hard, putting our heart and soul into this project. For what? To get blown off for a couple of chuckles? I think his AIDS might be scrambling his brain. We're hoping that things work out for the sake of Rock, AIDS, and Matt. But for now, this is all we have to go with. Stay tuned. Update, June 3rd, 2006. Another session ends in horror. Apparently the rumors of Chad leaving the project were false. Chris and Matt were seen escorting Chad into Smile and Jack Records this afternoon. About 2 hours later, the three were taking a break in the backyard oasis. Chad appeared to have Matt engaged in a heated conversation at the other end of the yard, so we thought it would be a good time to get some comments from Chris. We've got 4 songs in the final stages of mixing, and we're working on Matt and Chad's off-site tune, and we're in the middle of writing about 4 or 5 more. Is that enough for you? Why do you keep showing up at our sessions? How do you even know what we're doing? Chad had been informing us as to when the three were getting together, and we assumed that Chris and Matt knew this. We were wrong. Matt and Chad walked up from the other side of the yard as we were explaining to Chris how we knew about the sessions. It was at this point that Matt unleashed a fury that was absolutely horrifying to witness. Then he turned his attention to our reporter. Sadly, our reporter was killed in this attack. The body was barely identifiable. Our condolences go out to his family and friends. He knew the risks of this assignment and did not die in vain. We still don't know the status of Chad. Stay tuned. Update, June 19th, 2006. Chad survives. After nearly 2 weeks in a coma, Chad has regained consciousness and appears to be recovering well. He is showing signs of mild brain damage. The doctors say that this will pass as his cells regenerate. We ran into Chris at the hospital and he told us that 4 songs have been completed and 3 to 4 more are ready to record. We've been staked out at Smile and Jack Records watching for any activity. So far, nothing. For now, all we can show you is a picture of this meerkat. Stay tuned. Update, June 20th, 2006. Aaron makes another appearance. After weeks of staking out Smile and Jack Records, we finally have something to report. Aaron was spotted this afternoon loading in his electronic drum kit. It was roughly 3 hours later that we caught Chris leaving the studio. He was very displeased with us being there, but he did give us an update. We laid down drums for 3 more songs. I don't know what else to tell you. If I were you, I'd leave. If Matt knew you were here, this would be an ugly scene. Stay tuned. Update, July 1st, 2006. Words cannot describe the horrors seen today. Chris, Matt, and Chad arrived at Smile and Jack Records early this morning. Chad appeared to be doing well upon arrival. We couldn't detect any lingering problems from his hospital stay. We were, however, a good distance away. We didn't want our presence to be known for fear of what Matt would do. We thought by staying clear that we could avoid an incident. Unfortunately, things didn't work out that way. Roughly 6 hours had passed before we saw any activity coming from the studio. What ensued at that point can only be described as horrific. The following pictures were taken from our secure location with a telephoto lens. Matt emerged from the studio, dragging Chad by his shirt collar. He then proceeded to stomp on Chad's face and body with relentless rage. Then he grabbed Chad's leg and continued to pull him towards the street. Suddenly, Matt let out an ungodly scream, picked Chad up, threw him over the trunk of his parked car, and ass-raped him in broad daylight. He then threw Chad in the back seat and they drove off. We have no explanation for this. We don't know if Matt was trying to send a message, knowing that we were watching, or if he was just going about his normal daily routine. We sat in shock for nearly an hour. Chris came out of the studio shortly after we had gathered ourselves. We told him what had happened, and this was his quote. "Well, I don't know anything about that. All in the spirit of AIDS, I guess." We asked if anything unusual happened at the session, and he said, "Well, no, not really. Chad was talking with a little bit of a lisp, and he has a lazy eye now. I guess you can expect that after being in a coma for a couple weeks. We got 3 more songs completed and ready for mixing. That's about it. Can I go now?" After losing a reporter and watching today's events unfold, we don't know if this story is worth covering anymore. The future of these reports is uncertain at this point. Stay tuned. Update, July 11th, 2006. Secret session ends in tragedy. Chris and Matt were seen meeting at Smile and Jack Records today. We wanted to know what was going on, but we had no idea what was about to happen. 4 hours after their arrival, they emerged. They said goodbye, and Matt drove off in Chris's truck for some reason. Our reporter took this opportunity to leave the secure location and approach Chris for an update. "Well, we got a new record to scratch with, and we've been working on a special tune for the album," he said. Just then, Matt came speeding around the corner in Chris's truck, jumped out, and opened the gates of hell on our reporter. The following images were the last taken of the attack. Our reporter was killed in this attack. This is the second unfortunate death in the covering of this story. The only information we have is that he was completely dismembered and Matt carried his head off in a paper sack. We can't explain why this is happening or why our reporters continue to put their lives on the line for this story. Our deepest sympathies go out to our late reporter's family. We can't promise that we'll have anyone else willing to cover this story in the future. Stay tuned. Update, July 16th, 2006. Well, after the last incident, we decided to head over to Smile and Jack Records East last night, a smaller branch of the studio complex where Chris usually records alone. We were hoping to get some kind of an update. Chris answered the door and was in a particularly jovial mood. We asked him about the progress of the new songs. He replied, "Everything is coming along great. As a matter of fact, we just got done writing a new song tonight." The scene quickly turned tragic before our reporter could even ask who "we" was. Matt popped up from behind a parked car, and these were the images that were captured. We don't know. We just don't know. Our reporter was basically ripped apart into mulch. Again, our condolences go out to his family. If anyone reading this can explain these images, please contact us immediately. We don't know what else to say about this. Stay tuned. Update, September 16th, 2006. A promising day ends in horror. It's been a while, but we got word that Chris, Matt, and Chad were getting together this morning. Reluctantly, we sent a reporter out to see what was going on. When he arrived, he found the three loading in some gear with an unknown drummer. Matt spotted our reporter and asked him if he'd like to come inside and watch the session. Sensing a trick, our reporter began to run away, but was quickly convinced by Chris and Chad that everything would be cool. Apparently Matt has settled down, and his Uncle Clint was going to be cutting drum tracks for one of the new songs with his new electronic drum kit. Finally, we were granted access into Smile and Jack Records. Everything seemed to be normal, and the room was full of love. We got to see firsthand the writing and recording of a new song. The 4-hour session seemed to fly by. Matt was very calm and under control all day. It was a very welcome change. After the session, we got to hang out with the guys for a while until it was time for everyone to leave. We hung around outside for a few minutes as everybody said goodbye and had some laughs about the session. Then it happened. Matt suddenly got a glazed look in his eye and grabbed his Uncle Clint from behind. Then he snapped his neck in broad daylight. Chad and Chris ran off as fast as they could. Matt just stood over the body and pointed to it as he stared down our reporter. Our reporter was fortunate to escape with his life. There has been no word from Chris or Chad as to why this violent outburst occurred. Why would Matt kill his own uncle? Why would he let our reporter in to watch the session? We don't have any answers at this point. We can't see sending any more reporters to cover this story in the future. The risk is too great. We never expected a death toll in the recording of an album. We hereby resign from this project. Sorry to all involved. Pray for us. Stay tuned. Update, January 28th, 2007. Jackaxe Media is on the job. We are Jackaxe Media. We specialize in fine guitars and covering recording sessions of popular bands for the public. We decided to take this job, despite the risk, for the sole purpose of bringing the rest of the story to you. We have no reports of any recent sessions, but we will be ready when one happens. We are also prepared to fight back with reckless abandon should Matt lose control. We are fully equipped to handle this story, and Matt, and will be bringing you its conclusion as it happens. Stay tuned. Update, February 28th, 2007. More songs completed. We were finally able to reach Chris by phone for an update on the album progress. He said, "Well, I finally got around to mixing 3 more songs. They turned out really nice. That gives us a total of 7 completed songs. We have 2 more that are partially recorded, but they still need a lot of work." We asked when they might be getting together again, and he replied in a very defeated tone. That's really hard to say. I haven't heard anything from Chad in nearly 5 months, and Matt's aides have taken a turn for the worse. I'm not sure if we'll ever finish this album. I think Aaron is doing okay, though. He didn't have much knowledge on what may have happened to Chad, but he did mention something about a vacation to the Amazon and a crazy chick. Then he faxed us this picture. We have no idea what this means. Stay tuned. Update, March 3rd, 2007. Horrible news. We got a call from Chris earlier today, and he asked if we could come over to Smart and Jack East for some breaking news. When we arrived, we found a very distraught Chris at the computer. "I just received some terrible news," he said as he slumped in his chair. Apparently Chad has been living in the Amazon jungle with some girl for the past 3 months. 2 days ago, while he was sleeping, she cut his testicles off. He almost died. He's been flown to a Dallas hospital and is in stable condition. I talked to him briefly, and he said that he was leaving the project and didn't know if he would ever pursue music again. This is the second time that a girl has tried to cut off his testicles. Unfortunately, it was a success this time. You see, the bonus tracks that were put on the re-release of the first album were actually supposed to be part of our second album. We were in the middle of writing and recording, then some girl tried to cut off Chad's testicles. He got so freaked out that he went into hiding for 4 years, and we had to shelf the project. As you can imagine, this news came as a shocker to us all. We asked how Matt was taking it, and he said, well, actually, Matt's aids have stabilized, and he's looking forward to getting back in the studio to finish the record. He doesn't care if Chad is a part of it or not. We asked Chris what he thought about the unfinished album, and he said, I don't know. I mean, the songs that we've recorded definitely deserve to be heard. I just don't feel good about releasing an unfinished record. Me, Matt, and Aaron will discuss it after the emotion has died down a bit. We left Smile and Jack East and called Matt. We had hoped for an interview, but all he said was, I'm being haunted by the ghost of Chad's balls. Then he hung up. This is all the news that we have to report at this time. Stay tuned. Update, March 17th, 2007. Chris and Matt vow to finish the album. We got a call from a very excited Chris today regarding the unfinished Pillow Trick album. This is what he had to say. Well, it was a year ago today that our first album was re-released and we decided to record this new one. As I sit here sipping on a Guinness, I think it's a good time to announce that Matt and I are going to finish the album without Chad. We have several partial songs already recorded and enough material to finish it without him. Aaron won't be needed for the remaining tracks, but he is on board with our decision. We're planning a session next weekend and you're invited to it. I'm certain that it will be safe because I believe Chad was the source of Matt's unpredictable rage. We have also decided on a title for the album. I will not disclose that until the remaining tracks have been recorded. All of the artwork and graphics are also in the works. It shouldn't be too long before this baby is set for mastering. It's about time. Oh, and Matt says to drink his ass juice. We were very happy to hear this news and are looking forward to next week's session. Stay tuned. Update, March 24th, 2007. Before Dawn's session brings massive productivity. Chris and Matt got together today, as promised, for one final Pillow Trick session without Chad. It began at 5:30 this morning. Chris has apparently been working and sleeping in the studio for the past week. When he met Matt outside, they both seemed a little shocked and disoriented. Once they got inside, everything turned to business. The time of day didn't seem to affect them at all. In fact, Matt never acknowledged our presence the entire time we were there. For the next 6 hours, we witnessed an explosion of creativity that's very hard to describe. They played, sang, wrote, and every now and again, talked about their hopes of Chad dying of AIDS. Neither of them spoke a word to us for the entire session. They were a songwriting and recording machine. When they had finished, Chris gave us this exclusive statement. Well, I'm happy to announce that all of the major recording for the album is complete. There's only a few little things that need to be done before the mixing of the final songs can begin. I'm sure that this will all be completed and ready for mastering by the end of the week. Since all of the critical work has been done, I can release the name of the album to you now. The new Pillow Trick record will be called Songs from the Meat Cave. The release date has not been officially determined, but I can see a possible CD release party happening by mid to late April. We were very excited at this news. To think that the new album could actually be released within a month is incredible considering the chaos that has surrounded this project from the beginning. As Matt was loading out his gear, we tried to get a statement from him. All he said was, I hate Chad. I hope he grows a vagina where his testicles used to be so he can be screwed hard like he screwed us. All of a sudden, out of nowhere, Chris came running across the yard and kicked Matt right in the balls. Matt fell to the ground and stayed there for the next 3 hours. This was completely out of character for Chris. We have no idea what happened. He locked himself in the studio after that and hasn't been seen since. Matt eventually got up and left. He had nothing else to say. We will continue to bring you updates as they are given to us. Stay tuned. Update, March 28th, 2007. Album is finished. We got a frantic call from Chris a short time ago. He seemed very drunk and angry. He hasn't been seen since last weekend's session. He wasn't in any mood for questions. He just wanted to make this statement. I'm happy to announce that the album is finished. The master is complete and it's ready for duplication. I'm just glad this damn thing is over. I hate Chad for putting us all through this. It started out so well before the wheels got blown off. It doesn't matter now. I couldn't care less who likes this album or who doesn't. It's going to be a limited release anyway. We're going to have a CD release party at some point, probably mid-April. Everyone at the party will get a CD. Other than that, if you want a CD, you'll have to contact me through my MySpace page. When the art department finishes the cover, I will release it to the public. Aside from that, I just don't fucking care anymore. He then hung up the phone. It sounded like a lot of drunk rambling, but we got the impression that he was very overworked and not happy with the Chad situation. We'll try to contact him at a later time. Stay tuned. Update, March 30th, 2007. Album cover art is released. Chris called us again earlier today. He apologized for his ramblings the other night and had this to say. I have just received a rough draft of what the cover is going to look like. I just faxed it to you. It's not the finished product, but it's fairly close. Also, you can hear the first single, Dancing on a Thin Line, on the MySpace player. We're planning to have the CD release party in a few weeks, and it still stands. If you want a copy of the album, you'll have to be at the party or contact me directly. I hate Chad. That's all he had to say. Here is the artwork he sent us. Very interesting indeed. We'll pass along information on the CD release party when we get it. Stay tuned. Update, April 7th, 2007. CD release party announced. Chris and Matt will be hosting a release party for the upcoming Pillow Trick album, Songs from the Meat Cave, on Saturday, April 21st. It's an exclusive invitation-only party from what we've been told. We spoke to Chris earlier today, and he would only provide sketchy details. He seemed very drunk and angry. This is what he said. Well, we're having a party. Who cares? It's not like I give a shit if anyone comes or not. I know that Chad won't be there. I hate Chad. I may not even duplicate this damn CD. You can hear it at the party. If not, then, well, tough shit. I just don't fucking care anymore. This is all the details we have at this point. We will be covering the release party and we'll bring you the full story ASAP. Stay tuned. Update. April 22nd, 2007. Horrific end to CD release party. We arrived at Matt's place in the early afternoon yesterday for the unveiling of the new album. It was a small, intimate gathering. Very few were invited. Chad, of course, was not there. Soon after we arrived, Chris brought out the CDs and we all got to see the completed project for the first time. Matt was beside himself when he saw it. This was the complete album art. After viewing the album, the grill was fired up and the party really began. Everyone ate and drank and had a great time. Matt seemed in control, but did have a kind of insane look in his eyes throughout the day. The sun went down and it was finally time to hear the album. Chris brought a short video presentation to play for everyone before listening to it. While that was going on, Matt was in the kitchen mixing up what he called a special tea for everyone to drink while the album played. When the video was finished, everyone got a cup of special tea and sat around in the living room. We were not allowed to have any of the tea. A candle was lit, the lights were turned out, and the album was finally played. It was an incredible group of songs. It stays close to the original formula of Pillow Trick while exploring a darker, more artistic direction. You could tell that the band has really taken a step forward musically. It's a shame that Chad was not around for its completion. All in all, an excellent album. What happened next can only be described as horrible and beyond belief. As the lights were turned back on, this was the scene. Everyone appeared to be passed out. Matt explained to us that everyone was dead. His special tea was a slow-acting poison designed to kill everyone during the album. He said it was a recipe that he made up that was inspired by a Jonestown documentary that he watched earlier that morning. He said that the reason he didn't let us drink it was so that someone would be alive to tell the story. Then he took his grill fork and plunged it into his neck and dropped to the floor. This was actually a fitting end to this wild-ass story. Although we were very horrified by the scene, we actually felt a little relieved that it was all over. This is clearly the end of Pillow Trick. Songs from the Meat Cave is destined to be legendary now that it is linked to several murders and a mass murder-suicide. Truly unbelievable. We apologize for the content of these reports. We don't make the news, we just bring you the story. Thank you for your time and patience. The end? Update, April 24th, 2007. A moment of clarity. Songs from the Meat Cave was officially released in very limited quantities to the public today. It's been getting rave reviews from the lucky few that were able to get a copy. We hope that there will be a second run so more people can hear this incredible album. In related news, it seems that the antics at the CD release party were a bit of a hoax. The special tea of Matt's that was an alleged suicide drink was nothing more than a mix of Ambien and Tylenol 3. Everyone woke up several hours later and was perfectly fine. As to Matt's suicide attempt, he only planned on lodging the grill fork in his throat to freak us out. As he was trying to do that, he slipped and fell over, knocking himself out, and knocking a bowl of salsa over. Funny how we missed that. Since all of the members of Pillow Trick are still alive, although the actual status of Chad is unknown, we thought we would ask about the possibility of a third album. Matt's response: "Hell no, I hate Chad. I'll never work with that cock-ass again. I seriously hope that AIDS kills him." Chris's response: "Well, it's not likely. I'll never say never, though. If Chad ever gets his testicles back, I guess it could be a possibility. I wouldn't count on it. I'll leave the door open, but don't hold your breath." Aaron and Chad could not be reached for comment. This brings us to the end of this crazy story. Or is it just a chapter? I guess we'll just have to wait and see. As it stands, Songs from the Meat Cave will go down as an artistic masterpiece. We can only hope that there will be a follow-up. If you were lucky enough to get a copy, then consider yourself fortunate. If not, well, you could try to talk Chris into giving you one, but he's not really in the mood to talk about this project anymore. Good luck. Jackaxe Media is officially off the job. We hope there will be another chapter to the story, but we're not counting on it. Peace. The end.